Right now, on to the point. An embattled charter school, the center of an ABC 10 investigation, now with a new leader.
Under my watch, we're not going to waste public resources.
The redistricting fight in Texas takes a new turn, why the FBI is now getting involved.
A new feature on Instagram is raising privacy concerns, how you can protect yourself and your kids as they head back to school.
And in our Champions of Hope.
I really wish we had this in 1976. But I'm glad we have it now.
A woman's journey from a Golden State Killer survivor to helping others heal.
Good evening. As always, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell, and we start tonight with a 2-year ABC 10 investigation into Highlands, one of California's largest charter schools that led to a scathing state audit that found the school inappropriately received $180 million in public funds and also broke the law. It's led to calls for oversight and Highlands appointing another new executive director. ABC 10 investigative reporter Andy Judson spoke with him, and she joins us with what he had to say tonight.
Yeah, Alex, for the first time since our investigation aired, I sat down one-on-one with Highlands' new executive director, Jonathan Raymond. He answered tough questions and shared how he plans to turn the school around.
Right now, we're fighting for our life, Andy.
Highlands' new executive director is just weeks in and already tasked with rebuilding a school in crisis and answering for misused taxpayer funds.
Highlands leadership has spent millions on travel, 5-star resorts, golf events, parties, lobbying, to name a few. Where that money was not going was to the students.
Yeah, so, I wasn't here when a lot of those decisions were made, and a lot of mistakes were made. And a lot of money, was spent in the way that was inappropriate. But under my watch, we're not going to waste public resources.
His main message, Highlands must stay open for students.
This is their safe haven. This is their lifeline. And if Highlands closes, there's nowhere else for them to go.
He promises a new direction, one that puts students first.
So I'm reviewing everything. I'm looking at our curriculum, because we need to do better for our students. It's building a high-quality team, and it's doing everything we can to build Highlands back better.
You say that you're going to bring in new leadership. Things are changing here. But the audit did find several employees lacked the experience, education, and credentials needed and required for their positions, but they were employed due to nepotism or personal connections. These employees remain here, some even still in leadership positions. How do you justify that?
I'm reviewing all of our positions. I've asked to see, position descriptions, qualifications. So we're going to go through it, line by line. And if we have folks that aren't qualified, we'll remove them.
One of his first moves, calling for the entire Highlands board to step down, he says.
I will depart as soon as you know you have a suitable person.
I am resigning.
To announce my decision to resign.
And all the board has committed, to resigning and to being replaced.
Another key priority for Raymond is increasing graduation rates.
Yeah, they're way too low. They're unacceptable.
But one critical change, he says, needs to happen internally.
Staff here previously described a toxic and cult-like workplace. Will there be specific culture changes under you? And if so, how do you implement that when it's, the culture, it's on such a personal level?
Yeah, so I think it's how you just ended. It's on a personal level. It starts with me, and then it starts with the folks that I hire. And it's also about setting high expectations.
So if we sit down, let's say in another year, what do you hope has been done by that point? What does success look like in the first year you're here?
Yeah, well, I think success looks like, we're open, right? We're still here. We're able to provide both the academic and the supports to our students that they need, that meet their learning styles and that meet their needs. And that the story is, Highlands rebuilt back better.
What's your message to people who are watching this interview, especially the staff and students who feel let down by what's happened?
Yeah, well, I just want them to know that I see them. This is their school. And I want them to know that, they're worth fighting for. So I'm here to fight.
And Mr. Raymond, as you just heard, made big promises regarding change, but whether he delivers, only time will tell. When we also discussed the school's negotiations with the California Department of Education, which is requesting millions back in repayment, and how he plans to rebuild public trust. Of course, we'll keep you updated on everything. Alex?
Yes, Andy, thank you so much. And I do want to mention that you can watch all episodes of The Wild West of Education right now on our ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. That app is free to download. Just go to news, the news category, and then you can just scroll down to investigations. You'll see everything right there. All right, new tonight, Governor Newsom is planning a news conference tomorrow about the redistricting fight in Texas that could trigger a special election here. And it comes as the FBI is now getting involved in trying to bring Texas Democrats back to their state. U.S. Senator John Cornyn of Texas says FBI Director Kash Patel agreed to help bring back Texas Democratic lawmakers, denying the Republican majority a quorum necessary to vote on a redistricting plan. Democrats accuse Republicans of trying to gain an unfair advantage in next year's midterm election. On the other hand, Republicans say by leaving the state, the lawmakers are also missing out on voting on other issues. Each of the Texas state Democrats who fled are facing a $500 fine for each day they miss the special legislative session. President Donald Trump's new wave of tariffs on U.S. imports are now in effect. Before today, virtually every country's goods were subject to a minimum 10% tariff. Now, about 40 countries with which the U.S. runs a trade deficit will face a 15% rate. The president is betting tariffs will drive up manufacturing in the U.S. While he says tariffs will not lead to higher prices, experts say electronics, clothing, watches, to even alcohol, even food and toys will probably cost you a little bit more. And President Trump is also calling for a new census. He told the Commerce Department to start work on a new census that would exclude immigrants who are in the country illegally from the head count, which determines political power and also federal spending. Experts say that it would be extremely difficult to do this because a law would have to be changed. It would also require congressional approval and is logistically almost impossible to execute in such a short period of time. A mid-decade census has never been conducted before. Federal law does allow it, but here's the thing. It can't be used for appointment or redistricting, and it must be done in a year ending in 5. A former Superman actor says that he is joining the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. You might recognize him. Dean Cain is a well-known conservative in Hollywood. In an interview with Fox News yesterday, he said that he decided to join the agency after sharing one of its recruitment videos on social media. Cain said that he's a sworn deputy sheriff and a reserve police officer in Idaho. He said he's spoken with ICE officials and will be sworn in as an honorary agent in the coming month. He's described the nation's immigration system as broken and said that he's going to do his part to fix it until Congress can. All right, coming up a little bit later in the show, another big blow to solar energy as billions of dollars in funding is cut for projects aimed at low-income communities.
We're tracking that summer heat making a return to the forecast. 90s and low 100s widespread for that Friday forecast.
And later, privacy concerns over a new Instagram feature. Tips on how you can protect you and your family. Welcome back in. Fire crews are battling a fast-moving fire in Ventura County tonight. The Canyon Fire has already burned more than 1,000 acres in Piru. This is just east of Fillmore. Evacuation orders are in effect in parts of Ventura and Los Angeles counties. Let's get over to Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods with a look at your weather headlines.
All right, warming weather, certainly part of the forecast. Warm for tonight, tomorrow, near 100-degree temperatures, shade, hydrate, necessity. Looking ahead, more 100s with moderate heat risk on tap. Highs for today, mid to upper 90s in the valley, not quite to that 100 threshold. 70s for the coast, 90s for the foothills, and near 80 for the Sierra. A look at our rundown of August temperatures, largely below or at average, only now starting to climb into that above average category. We're still in the 90s for Sacramento, Stockton, Modesto, and Marysville. Tahoe with sunny skies and 76. Our sunset is at 8:09. Surviving the valley heat, timing matters. The coolest time of day at sunrise, the hottest between 1 and 9 p.m. Shade, hydrate, and SPF, taking breaks every half hours, and also check on others. That includes children, elderly, and pets. Our forecast for tomorrow, we start off in the 60s, quickly warming into the 90s by 4 p.m. That's going to be our peak heat there, and we'll continue to build that warmth with that high pressure ridge building and sinking warming air. It stays in place through the weekend and early next week, and then we get back to the 80s. Highs in the 80s for the Tahoe Basin tomorrow, 90s and 100s down low. Across the coast, we've got highs in the 70s with 90s and 100s. Once we head inland, it's widespread upper 90s and low 100s, with morning lows starting us off in the upper 50s to lower 60s. So a bit of a jump start on those afternoon highs. We'll be in the mid 80s for the mountains over the weekend, with 90s to near 100 in the foothills. And for the coast, highs are going to be in the 70s with a mix of sun and clouds. Cooler, though, as we head into next week. Looking at the first 3 days of our extended forecast, this is really going to be the peak heat. Upper 90s, low 100s through Sunday. Then we start to slowly cool things off early next week into the upper 90s, finally getting back to the 80s by the middle of next week. And as you can see with the full 10-day outlook, we stay in the 80s once we hit them on Wednesday through the upcoming weekend.
All right, Monica, thank you so much. Right after the break, Instagram is rolling out a new feature, and it's bringing up some privacy concerns. Coming up, we'll look at the location sharing edition and also how you can decide to opt out. And later in our Champions of Hope, we hear from a survivor of the Golden State Killer who's turned her trauma into a mission to help and heal others. Welcome back in. The Environmental Protection Agency today eliminated $7 billion in funding for solar programs approved under the Biden administration. And this includes projects for nearly 1 million households in low-income communities. Environmental groups, state departments of energy, and other advocates say that they will sue to prevent the EPA from killing the grants. Solar is a renewable energy that's widely regarded as a way to introduce cleaner power onto the electrical grid and lower energy bills for American consumers. And Instagram users are beginning to flag a new feature that is raising some serious privacy concerns. It allows people to share their location data with friends in real time, and this comes just as teens are heading back to school. ABC 10's Becca Habegger spoke with an expert about what risks people should consider.
Instagram has rolled out a new map feature that will share your location data with friends, updated whenever you open the app. Parent company Meta says a user's location data will not be shown unless they opt in. To make that selection yourself, go to your messages, look for the circle at the top that says map. The first time you tap on it, you'll be asked who can see your location. You can share with anyone you follow who also follows you back. You can select close friends, or you can hand-pick a list of people. You can also choose no one, don't share location.
Once you share, you're throwing your privacy out the door.
Dr. Joanne Broder is a media psychologist and author. She says parents and teens alike should think about the risks before deciding to share their location with friends. Not only physical safety, but also emotional.
It's a bullying. They can use your location, A, to find you or to avoid you. Let's not be there so we don't run into her, but let's make a post that we were all together.
Here's one more thing to consider. Even if you do not opt into sharing your location data in real time, if you create a post or a story or a reel and you choose to add your location data, here I am at ABC 10, that content will still show up on the new map feature. In Sacramento, as you can see, Becca Habegger, ABC 10.
And we also want to mention that Instagram has a teen version with parental controls, of course. And for those accounts, parents can decide whether their kid even gets the option to share their location data. And if so, parents will be notified if their teen shares their location. And experts urge parents to talk to their kids about privacy and safety. Of course, very, very important. All right after the break, our Champions of Hope. She was one of the many victims of the Golden State Killer. And now she is on a mission to provide healing and also hope for a lot of other people. Decades after surviving the Golden State Killer's horrific assault, one woman finally saw justice and with it found her voice. Chris Pedretti is turning pain into purpose by building safe spaces in police departments and also helping others reclaim their lives through a nonprofit that is completely dedicated to healing, hope, and helping others. And just a warning, certain details in this story could be disturbing to some people. It was December 18th, 1976, just days before Christmas.
I was 15 years old, and my parents had gone to a Christmas party.
Chris Pedretti was home alone. After spending time with a neighborhood friend, she made herself dinner, then sat down to play the piano.
As I was playing, I heard a noise, not a noise I recognized. And so I stopped playing.
Unaware, danger was already outside her door.
And probably within a second, maybe two. There was a masked man that came around the corner, put a knife to my throat, came up behind me, and he said, if you make a sound or you scream, this knife, I'll plunge all the way through your neck and you'll be dead. I'll kill you.
It was Joseph James D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer. He began terrorizing Sacramento County in 1976, breaking into homes and lying in wait.
I was in shock. I was dragged down the hallway into the utility room where he bound and gagged me.
D'Angelo would ambush girls as young as 13 years old, binding their hands, then raping them.
I was an object, being moved in and out, not a human being, just an object for his torture. I lost my identity. I was no longer a child. I definitely was not an adult.
She told police what happened, but at her age, it was an experience she was never prepared for.
I was very religious when this happened, and it took my faith away. My father told me, my sister, and my mom that we would never ever talk about that day again. And we never did, not until 42 years later when he was caught.
The County Sacramento violation.
It took over 40 years to identify D'Angelo. The arrest came on April 24th, 2018.
Carol Daly, who was one of the original investigators, she called me and she said, "Hi Chris, I don't have much time, but I want you to know the East Area Rapist has been arrested. It's a 100% DNA match. It's him." That's when I was 15 years old all over again.
D'Angelo, a former officer, retired mechanic, and grandfather, was arrested at his Citrus Heights home, living in the shadows for decades in Sacramento County. In June of 2020, during D'Angelo's trial, survivors like Chris finally got their chance to talk directly to the man who had haunted their lives.
Do you feel any remorse for what you did to me?
Chris also found friendship.
I met Phyllis. She was the first victim of the East Area Rapist, Golden State Killer.
Her and Phyllis Henneman clicked. 3 months after Phyllis and Chris saw justice served,
guilty,
with D'Angelo pleading guilty to 13 murders, nearly 50 rapes, and 13 counts of kidnapping, Phyllis passed away.
Carol Daly and myself, we were there with her until her last breath. Phyllis was not alone. Never again were we going to let her feel alone.
Chris met another survivor, Gay Hardwick.
What started as just an introduction really turned into a sisterhood.
The two started a nonprofit to empower sexual assault survivors in their path to healing.
And we named it Phyllis's Garden, after Phyllis. We developed a couple more programs. So one of the programs is our soft interview rooms, which we're sitting in right now.
This room in the Elk Grove Police Department transformed into a space so calming you might forget you're at a police station at all.
Our soft rooms are really made to have a pleasing environment.
With soft lighting, peaceful art, and toys, the soft interview rooms are designed to support survivors of violent crimes and sexual assault by creating a space that feels safe. The comforting touches make the space feel calm and welcoming. Even the blankets are theirs to keep.
I hear this from the different detectives that I speak to, that their victims do a, this is so nice. And that is the first step of relieving some of that tension, to be able to share.
The rooms are entirely funded by donations.
The residents of Sacramento are opening their pocketbook and their hearts.
Phyllis's Garden now has 9 soft interview rooms in local police departments.
I really wish we had this in 1976. But I'm glad we have it now.
And as they plan to create more, they're also hosting a support group and leading educational outreach, a new chapter Chris never imagined.
If he had not been arrested, I would still be that same person, and now I get to live my life the way I should have all along. I feel like I'm doing what makes me whole, and I feel like telling my truth might help someone else feel okay to tell their truth.
Your Honor, my name is Chris Pedretti. Today, right now, I start my new journey. I've received overwhelming support from so many people. It's time to pay it forward. I hope to provide support to those, as so many have done for me. It truly has changed my life. Thank you.
And Chris, I want to say it has been an absolute joy to get to know you and see the work that you are doing in this community. And I deeply appreciate you for trusting us to tell your story. And if you do want to see more on Phyllis's Garden and the work that they do, you can check out the website that's listed on your screen right now. And of course, you can find this story on abc10.com. As always, thank you so much for watching and always inviting us into your home. I'll see you tomorrow.